And next, I'm going to talk about another function which is called SUMIF. SUMIF. Okay, so just like COUNTIF is that you select a range of numbers and then you say if this number satisfies blah 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 condition, I count it. So SUMIF means if you select a range of numbers and then you say okay, for all those numbers that satisfies the particular criteria, you sum them up. Also, that's SUMIF. So let's say here, I want to find the average count for working days. Okay, suppose that's the case, then I cannot just use average to select the whole column here, right? I need to skip those values that are corresponding to non-working days. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to do SUMIF. Okay, for SUMIF, I can select a range. Here, the range and the criteria are for me to select the values in the working day column, because I'm going to take a look at those values selected as range and compare them according to my criteria. So I'm going to select all the values here, and then I'm going to do the criteria thing. Here, I should enter 1. Okay, I should enter 1 so that I will be able to get among all these values, I take a look at those values that are 1. And then the last argument here, sum range, is here. Okay, sum range. Sum range is for me to select my target. So it's the CNT column. So if I do so, then what's going to happen is that for all those values in the CNT column, I'm going to take a look at its corresponding working day. If that value is 1, then I take that CNT value, I sum it and sum it with others that having the same criteria. Okay, so I get this number, about 2.2 million. So that's how I get the summation. So what I really want is the average, right? So I need to divide this number by the number of working days. So we know how to do it. What I should do is that I should just do COUNTIF. So I have a set of values here. I count the number of ones. So I have 500, and then I do a division. That's about 4,050, 500. Actually, if you want to take a look, if you want to do average, you see there is a function called average if. So now I guess you understand what is it. I can again select a range, select the criteria, and if that's not too surprising, it's also working day column and 1. And then for the average range, I guess I should select CNT. So let's try it. So I select all the values here, and I set the criteria to be 1, and I select all the values in the CNT, and then I get exactly the same value. So this function indeed gives me that among all those working days, I take a look at their CNT and then average them. So that's SUMIF and actually average if. Sometimes we want to do something else, like here. I want to find the average CNT where their temperature is above 10. So there are some days that they are hot enough, temperature is above 10. I want to take a look at all those days and then sum up or average their CNT. So how about this? Let's try average if again. So I have range here, temperature. And let's say I want to try the criteria as what I may do in COUNTIF. So then I do average range again. Something like this. Okay, I get a value that is 4,700. Seems to be good. Of course, I may try SUMIF, COUNTIF, and then do a division. So very quickly, let me try to do it. SUMIF, and then my range, and then above 10 as my criteria, and then the target values. So this is this number, and then COUNTIF. So I have the range here and my criteria above 10. Okay, I'm almost there. And then do a simple division. These two values are the same, not too complicated. So those are good, but there is actually a third way of doing that, is to use the function if. And if you are able to use the function if, then actually you can do all the things that we just did with more flexibility. So let's try it. Here, I'm going to use this function if, and this function requires me to do three things. I need to do a logical test, which means here as a first argument, I should do some kind of equality comparison, inequality comparison, and so on. And then tell Excel, what should I do? What should I put into this cell if the value is true? Or what should I do if the value is false? So let's try this. I'm going to take a look at the temperature value and then ask whether this value is greater than 10. Okay? If this value is greater than 10, I'm going to, for example, say I want a 1 as a mark here. Otherwise, I want to have a 0 here. Okay? So this is 1 because 14 is greater than 10. So I copy and paste. You see, okay, this is 0, makes sense. This is 1, makes sense. This is 0, makes sense. So this is how that if function works. So then you may ask, well, what's the point of doing this? How is that going to help me? There are many different ways for us to do that. For example, if I want the summation of all those CNT values where their temperature is above 10, what I need to do is just a simple sum product. So I'm going to take the first column here and then the second column here. So what's this? This is saying that I'm going to multiply 985 by 1, multiply 801 by 1, multiply 100 and 1000 and whatever by 0. And for all of them, I sum them up. What's the point of doing this? You can see that this value and that value are the same, right? Because when we multiply a value by 0, we basically exclude that in our summation. So we exclude what? We exclude those days where temperature is too low, it's lower than 10. We only include those values whose temperature is above 10. So that's how I get this value. And here, because I'm using the function if, I'm not just getting these values as SUMIF. I also get a mark that is telling me that the first day satisfies this condition, the third day does not, and so on and so on and so on. I can of course also just look at this column and then I see, oh, 731 as all the number of days, and among them 671 days that the temperature is above my criteria. Okay, so by using if, I can really get a deeper look about all these conditions. So let me introduce one thing that cannot be easily done with SUMIF, average if, but can be easily done with if. So what's that? Remember that I tried to do that. I want to find the average CNT where the temperature is above 10, let's say is lower than 10 and above, let's say 6. Okay, so if I want to do that, then I can see, okay, for some days I need to exclude them. So let's say I want to do this. I want to find the average CNT where their temperature is less than 10 or above and above 6. So here, first, I want to find a mark saying that the temperature is less than 10. So let me modify them. I want to modify this to less than 10. Okay, so now I know this is less than 10, this is less than 10, this is greater than 0, and so on. I'm going to take a look at my second condition. Which days their temperatures are above 6? Well, nothing special, right? If it's above 6, give it 1, otherwise give it 0. So then, very quickly, I get this. So in that case, I see for if I see 2 ones here, that means that particular temperature is greater than 6 and less than 10. Greater than 6 and less than 10. Okay, so we can see that, well, this is not because it's too hot. Most of the days are too hot because this is summer. And then we go here. Okay, this is good because it's within 6 and 10 and so on and so on. So that means I can just multiply these two columns, right? If I multiply these two columns and get 0, that means this particular temperature is not within 0 and 10. So this temperature is above 10, less than 10 and above 6. So I just do a multiplication to get this. Well, and then I'm almost done, right? Because all I need to do is to just do a sum product for this column and this column. If I just do that, and then I will be able to get the summation for all the days whose temperature is less than 10 and above 6, and then I'm done. Do whatever division you like, you get average. So these are just some examples, but I'm just trying to show you the power of SUMIF, average if, and in particular if. If you are able to use that if function correctly, you may do many things.